you end the day, that is your final match, isn't it? That will be the final match of this season. So how have you found the season overall? Obviously, it's great that you're up in the top 2, so it's been a fun time for you guys. But
having it great.
You know, overall, how do you feel you've adapted to season 3 compared to everybody else in the league right now?
Well, I think we adapted really well. We didn't get nervous. Like, I think the new teams, you could see that they were not used to playing offline that much, and playing every week got them into some trouble sometimes. While we just had good weeks most of the days. Like, we only fell one week, and I think that we lost two matches in 1 week. That's our worst thing we ever did. Most of the weeks, we always ended up positive, like winning more games than we lost. And it was pretty cool. As you say, we're top 2. That's really fun.
Now, talk to us about that. You know, you guys have been up at the top of the league pretty much the entirety of the season. And you just said, you know, you guys have been consistently performing well. How do you stay at the top of your game? How much preparation goes into each and every week? Did you guys slack off a little bit as we've come towards the end of the season? You know, talk us through that.
Yeah, I guess, like, we practiced, but there were weekends, like, when we win a lot, of course, you're like, okay, now let's relax a bit. Let's just play solo queue, practice a couple of hours a day. But we try to practice every day, at least 3-4 games as a team if we can. And, of course, a lot of solo queue to keep the level. So I think, yeah, the thing that we play every weekend, that's already a lot of practice. So we keep the level. We don't drop out because every weekend we have to play serious games, really intense, and that's enough practice. Like, a weekend of LCS is more practice than 2 or 3 normal days.
For Fnatic, what's more important, solo queue, mechanical practice, or team practice, coordination and calling? What helps or benefits your team more?
I guess team practice most of the time. The good thing about solo queue is that you can try new stuff, while in pre-med you don't want to do it because if it fails, your team is stuck with you. So pre-med is more like we just play together as a team. We try to improve in mistakes that we do as a team, but the solo queue mistake is better to practice them in solo queue, I think.
And do you prefer it, the fact that you are now in the gaming house, you guys are all settled down, compared to, say, last season when, if I remember rightly, when we went to Dublin together, you'd just done DreamHack, you'd been to IPL, and then you'd been to IEM Cologne, and you were flying to Dublin, your bag was like just dragging it around the train station.
Like our bag.
Yeah, like I am now, basically. But you'd been on the road for like a month now. Obviously, it must feel much nicer to be settled in one place. No, really, your gaming environment.
Yeah, it's really cool. You're not so tired. When you travel so much, some days you're like lost. You're so tired, you just want to sleep all day, and then you have to play all day. And yeah, some days during those tournaments on IPL, there were a lot of games, and some days I just wanted to take a nap in between games or something.
Yeah, the jet lag kind of kicks in. What is it that you feel maybe you'd like to see him changing in the season? Bearing in mind, you guys are obviously into this next summer split. It's going to be a similar type of thing. Is there anything out there that you think, oh, God, I wish that was there?
Well, it's going to be... The main difference is going to be that now it's going to be for a spot in the World Championship.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be more serious. Every match is going to count a lot more. It's not going to be allowed. Losing one game might not matter. Every game is going to matter, and it's going to be cool to have another half season like this, but way more important.
A lot of pressure on you guys as well.
A lot. Yeah, now we're like the top. Everyone expects us to do good. And we might not do good. We never know that. And that's going to be a lot of flame coming up.
Well, it is going to be the next match coming up. And, of course, to take us through all the action, it will be, once again, Joe Miller and Jason Kaplan for Evil Geniuses versus the Copenhagen Wolves.
Thanks a lot, guys. Next up is that crunch mid-table encounter, as Demon said, between Evil Geniuses and the Copenhagen Wolves. EG have had a ropey time of things as the season has gone on, recording losses that they'd probably calculated to win in their grand plan of how to, do well this season. Their game yesterday against Gambit ended in a fantastic win for them that definitely gave them a big boost of confidence and also meant that Snoopy should be shaving that beard off at some point. Wolves are also on form. They started 2-0 yesterday before ending the day with that win versus Fnatic. They're obviously in 4th and 5th place here. Right. Now, the way that this is going to work, there's a few different outcomes, so bear with me on this one. It's 4th versus 5th. EG, if they win this one, they are guaranteed that 4th place, because whatever happens, then they will have a better head-to-head, even if the Wolves win their later game against Gambit. Now, if Copenhagen Wolves win this one, and they both win their next game, Wolves will be in that 4th position anyway.
I thought they actually run into a tie. I don't know. There is a possibility of a tie happening.
Yeah, sure. But
I'm just trying to remember how it goes.
If they both win their second games, Keep up, Jason. It's not that complicated. You guys at home, I'm sure, are figuring it all out on lolesports.com. But EG, you know, if they lose their second game, doesn't matter anyway.
Right. Well, I mean, it's a big game for both teams. Knowing that it's not really about who's going to play who in the playoffs, because obviously they're stuck together.
Yeah, they're going to play each other. But that doesn't change anything for the playoffs. But it's 4th position, and you want to finish higher than the EG. That's for sure.
And considering the Wolves start off 0-9 at the beginning of the season, I mean, this would be like a godsend for them to just be in 4th place incredible. After all of that. And then Evil Geniuses, I mean, they've been hit or miss, like the entirety of LCS, maybe not the first couple of weeks, but this is something they need to win just to show that they're going to be consistent again. They need to work on that consistency.
Yeah, it's definitely a massive, massive game. As we said, they will still play each other, but the winning team, the team that finishes actually 4th, will be the team that gets first ban, first pick from their best of 3 when they will then meet off, obviously, in the quarterfinals of the playoffs.
Yeah, and we'll see how that goes on. I mean, I'm expecting a very, very close game between these two teams. We've had Evil Geniuses yesterday against Gambit. They stepped up. Snoopy stepped up quite well for their team. Yeah. And we saw over on the Wolves side, Bjergsen I mean, how well he could play at Twisted Fate. And we saw on Sven Skaren playing his Jarvan. Just amazing players on both teams. And they've really all grown during the entirety of LCS.
Well, let's have a look at the 2 lineups for these both teams. We obviously know them by now. Well, we should do at least. Evil Geniuses on the blue side with Wicked in the top lane, Snoopy in the jungle, Froggen in the mid lane, and the AD carrying support, Yellow Pete and Crepo.
And of course, for the Copenhagen Wolves, we have Godbro in that top lane, Sven Skaren in the jungle, Bjergsen in the mid lane, and then a Tess and Deficio in the bottom lane.
So let's break down the key players in this one. We're going to focus on both junglers for this one, starting off with Evil Geniuses' Snoopy.
Yes, we do. I mean, Snoopy, he's really come into his own throughout the entirety of LCS. I mean, he's been having a really tough time in the beginning of the season, I have to say, in terms of finding champions he's really comfortable with. But he's finally been able to do that. His Nautilus is back yet again, and we'll see if he can really work that against the Wolves.
Yeah, and he's going to have a tough time because his opposite member, or his opposite number, I should really say, his Sven Skaren look very, very good. So let's have a look then at Sven Skaren. He's been in great form so far this weekend, proving exactly why you need to ban out that Jarvan against the Wolves.
And the thing was, so we did see the Jarvan finally banned out against him, but he picked up Nasus, and it shows that he's been working on a lot of other champions. Like, he knows. It's like Froggen's and Nivea. Like, you expect it to be banned out now. So you have to work on these other champions to really step up for your team and really become that strong jungler you need to be. And he's done that for the Wolves.
And I definitely expect a Jarvan ban in this one. I mean, the chances of Snoopy leaving that in, the team EG for leaving that in for Snoop to play are actually pretty low. Jarvan's definitely not one of his go-tos. So for me, from what we've seen, they probably need to get rid of that Jarvan. We're going to be getting into this game in just a couple of seconds, but since it's such a close call in that mid-table, of course, we managed to catch up with the players, see exactly what their mindsets are coming into this amazing next game.
Well, obviously, a lot of people are afraid of the Wolves, and I think it's the wrong mindset to have.
EG is in a bit of a slump, but they have been in a slump before and turned things around, started winning games.
The Wolves is the most dangerous team of the bottom 4, and they're just playing amazing right now. And we would like to watch them for the playoffs.
If you're basically just looking at how they play, it would be easier to shut them down if you're just focusing on your own game instead of trying to counter them all the time. So I think that's what we have to do.
I mean, you never know where EG is. All we know is that if we don't prepare properly for them, they will beat us.
Me and Wicked is from Denmark, and they're a full Danish team, so we want to prove we're still the best Danes out there.
So national pride on the line as well in this one. Wicked and Froggen want to prove that they are the best Danes out there against a full Danish team, of course, the Copenhagen Wolves. We're going to get into bans and picks here in just a second. But Jason, what are your thoughts? What are we going to see coming out?
Well, just like we were talking about before, you got to see that Jarvan ban. You cannot let Sven Skaren play that again. But the rest of the bans, I would not be surprised to see both of them actually target at Bjergsen, because he's been just playing so well. Like, he's always a rock to go to for their team. You can never, or you always can count on him to play a phenomenal game, and then you do something against that. And then we do see, looks like a Nivea ban coming against Evil Geniuses.
And Nivea also an obvious ban against Froggen, although we've been seeing less and less Nivea bans against Evil Geniuses. Kha'Zix's taken out here as well. They don't want Bjergsen to be on that one. Of course, Jarvan was the first ban. Thresh taken out. Crepo has played amazingly well with Thresh when he's had the chance.
And his Thresh yesterday against Gambit was just fantastic, completely catching them off guard, landing like pretty much every hook and creating opportunities for his team to pick up kills. As we see Caston being taken away from Bjergsen again, also the Kha'Zix for him. So we saw those two last bans being targeted over to him, but that leaves a lot of champions open for everyone on the Wolves as they take away Zed, so they don't want to see Wicked on him in that top lane. And of course, that does leave Twisted Fate open, and it looks like Evil Geniuses might snatch that up.
Yeah, going in there for what looks like to be straight in on the first pick here for Twisted Fate. This is a lot of discussion here from the EG side. Really interested to see how that win against Gambit towards the end of the day yesterday has affected their confidence levels, because we've said it before, time and time again, they've been very hit and miss.
Yes, they have, and hopefully it's helped them go into this game with like high hopes and high spirits. As we do see Shen open, I was going to say he is available, and the best way to counter a Twisted Fate, global presence, use your own global presence of your own with Shen and Godbro yesterday. I mean, actually, in both games yesterday, he, I think, was unkilled in both of them, doing such an amazing job. And why not pick that champion up again if it works so well?
Yeah, he had a really, really good day yesterday. Let's see if that Shen comes in for him this time around, and what Copenhagen Wolves will lock in alongside that here. Pretty quiet, it seems, on the Copenhagen Wolves front. Not much conversation, at least from Godbro in this one. There is Varus, so getting that AD carry here early on.
It looks like they want to get that over to the test, just make sure he's playing a champion he's very comfortable with, because he's really done well for his team as well. Yesterday, he was actually a very key member in their wins, and those will get locked in. And I'm curious to see, will Wolves leave their AP pick or their mid player pick last, since you already know what you're going up against with that Twisted Fate? I'm not sure if they're going to do that, or if they're going to try to lock down a support and a jungler soon, because now Evil Geniuses, they have Nasus, they have Volibear open if they want to. They also have the Nautilus we saw Snoopy use yesterday, and I'm curious to see if he actually might go for that again.
Well, we're going to find out on that line of picks here coming in. Concentration across the board. Important matchup here to decide most probably who's going to be in that 4th and 5th position. Obviously, the results later still factor in to who will get that place, even when the outcome of this one is already decided. So let's have a look then for Evil Geniuses. What is pick 2 and 3? Lots of discussion in there. This almost seems like the plan that they were going for has been scuppered somewhat.
A little bit, yeah. And since I've seen AD carry, why not go for Misfortune, which is what I'm assuming that Yellow Pete's going to end up going for. Of course, Rumble again. I mean, we've seen Rumble played by Kevin so many times at the top line. We even saw Darian on him yesterday. And then Wicked, showing his hand on him as well. They all play a fantastic Rumble, and he's such a strong champion. And it makes me to think they might try to go for a 1v2 lane here to send that Rumble down there.
Well, Copenhagen Wolves got the AD carry in there. Got Shen, who we're thinking most probably in that top lane. Godbro plays a lot of Shen. I've not seen too much of it in the jungle either. And Svenskred, it's not got his Jarvan this time around, but maybe a Nasus pick this time.
I think what UG's doing here is that they want to pick a jungler that can counter Bjergsen mid lane, because we saw Syndra yesterday, and we actually heard him during the interview saying, it's a very certain pick you want to use them against. Like, you can obviously do work against Twisted Fate, but you have to be careful of their jungler, the AD carry. So it looks like EG's just waiting for that. They want to know what Bjergsen's going to play so they can kind of potentially counter it with that jungler. And it looks like we're going to see Svenskred on that Xin. I mean, if it's not Jarvan, it's most likely going to be Xin Zhao.
Yeah, definitely is top 2 player, the most successful champion so far this season. And a Lulu picked up for Deficio. Again, that's pretty much his go-to.
Yeah, that's going to help quite a bit to make him very strong in lane as well. And it looks like the Wolves are going to leave, well, obviously are going to leave their AP pick as their last one. Evil Geniuses, like you were saying before, it's like they seem to be caught off guard here. They weren't really expecting the Wolves to pick this way, but you do see Nasus being sought on, which is pretty much a common jungler nowadays. But the real key thing is, we've had Snoopy talk about it quite a bit, saying, on Volibears mostly, when you try to engage against a Lulu team or a team that has slows like that, you have to take Flash. And if they do lock in this Nasus, he's currently sitting on that Flash right now.
Yeah, Snoopy got that one in there. Still 20 seconds, though. And EG really running the clock down with this one. Obviously, we do have the Twisted Fate in there, so probably going to be a support player coming out last.
Leona's available. And we saw Crepo just do amazing on her recently. Like, his aggression with Yellow Pete were just so fantastic. They're so perfect for each other right there. And looks like they actually might lock that in. So that's going to be a very strong lane to go up against. And that definitely leads me to think that they're going to swap lanes.
Yeah, that Leona will be locked in along with Nasus for Snoopy there in the jungle. So the interesting point now is, what is Bjergsen going to be playing in this middle lane against Twisted Fate?
Lux is open, and so is Nidalee. I mean, he can play pretty much any AP champion, but you usually don't see Lux left open against him anymore these days. I don't think he's going to pull out a Syndra. Lux would give him a nice amount of burst, and they can just follow up the rest of their team, because you have to remember, they have a top lane Shen, it looks like, and a jungle Xin, so they're going to be lacking on a little bit of damage unless Godbro goes for his Triforce, which he's been doing lately. So they need someone that can provide quite a bit, and it looks like they actually might go with the Syndra.
Yeah, Syndra being hovered over right now. There you see Deficio, full conversation, so going to be a tough choice for them. I mean, he's going up against Frog, and that's definitely not an easy lane for anyone in League of Legends. But Björksen has looked so incredibly good since he turned 17, of course. That's why he wasn't here for the first weeks and that 0-9 start that they had. And it will be a Syndra locked in.
Okay, so looks like that will be in the middle lane, but it comes down to like what team is going to send who in what lane. 'Cause it's a big mind game, and I'm going to say this right now. I don't expect any level 1 action because both teams are just going to be trying to sort out who's going where because they want to get their ideal lanes. And looking at the composition of EG, they have a really strong mid-game team with double AP. They have the Leona stuns, and they have the Misfortune damage early on with the bullet time. And the Wolves, I mean, you have Shen who's going to get so tanky. He's going to be able to split push, and he's going to be able to match Froggen in terms of where he's going to go. You have that pseudo-tankiness off of Lulu as well. And then Björksen on Syndra, we just saw yesterday like how much damage he can do and how well he can play her with the stuns, with just the control of the slows. And we'll see how well he does on her today against Froggen.
So once again, just to remind you of the current situation, what's going to happen from this game. Evil Geniuses, if they win this game, they are guaranteed 4th position. Now, the next outcome, if Copenhagen Wolves beat EG and both teams then win or lose that last game, we would play an extra game today, a game 9, a tiebreaker to decide who would finish in 4th and 5th. And then, the other outcome, if Copenhagen Wolves beat EG and one of the team wins the remaining game and the other one loses, the team who won that final game would secure the 4th position. As we've said before, it's definitely 4th and 5th. It doesn't matter in terms of positions in this one for other games, but it matters for who will get that first ban and first pick in the playoff game. But also, you want to finish 4th.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely need to finish 4th. So you heard Evil Geniuses earlier on talking about the relegation playoff matches, is that if they don't get an LCS next season, like the summer split, then they think they failed. Like they feel like they have failed their fans, they failed their team. And you know they're going to be fighting for it here. They have to show something.
Well, the other big thing to think about is that whatever happens, they're playing in the playoffs. And whoever wins this one's going to have a bit of an edge, in my opinion, in that one. They'll be thinking, it's only next week. They'll be thinking back to this week and to this very game as to, how they're playing right now. Who's the on-form team between them? So here we go, in-game. It's Evil Geniuses versus Copenhagen Wolves. Jason, run us through level 1.
Well, like I was saying before, during the picks and bans, I don't expect any major action to happen. I think it's mostly to come down to who's going to scout out the other. And as I said, we already have Gobber heading towards the top side, so it looks like Wolves have actually scouted out Evil Geniuses because EG, they typically like to invade the top tri-bush very early on and then push in through there or go in through that Wraith area. But it looks like they're just going to sit on this line here and just try to defend their own side of the jungle. And with Leona and with Misfortune having the early double golems bot lane, they're going to be so hard to deal with when they hit level 2 and you're level 1 as the Tess and Deficio. So it looks like Tess and Deficio will be taking the Wolf camp just to kind of keep up in experience.
Yep. Very tense start to this one. Lots of wards put down specifically from the Wolves. Look at that, 3 of them on the map right now. 2 on that bottom side of River, 1 on the top side. And neither team wanting to risk anything. And that's a real point of this one. No risks, play it safe, and try and win this game to claim that 4th position. Copenhagen Wolves going to meet back in away. Looks like we are going to be seeing once again a Golem start for Svenskeren.
All right, so he's going to be going for... Actually, this is something we saw just last game with Hercubon Pantheon. Yeah. It's very unexpected, and it's interesting because we didn't actually see, well, we didn't, and the Wolves didn't see EG push up and go for an early ward at all, so they weren't going to have vision when Svenskeren was anyways, and at least Gobber will be able to share a little bit of the experience as well, but he's going to be going for that red, then into race, and looks like he might go for an early mid gank, because if we can get Björksen fed, then he can carry the team. Yeah,
we saw just yesterday how that Syndra can be late into the game. Absolute devastation is what comes off from Björksen.
And you saw with Evil Geniuses in the bottom lane, they gave the golems to Krepo, actually. They gave him the big one. So he's very close to level 2 because of that CC he can provide for his team, for Misfortune. So that is just going to be ridiculous. I don't think Wolves are going to be expecting this.
And here we go, Deficio, or in a lot of trouble. The first ignite of the game put down. He will walk away, but he's probably going to have to eat through most of those pots. He does have the biscuit as well, should he need to munch that one down. But very, very dangerous. Once Krepo hits that level 2 point, I could imagine that EG go for it.
And he's going to hit it very soon here. I think 1 or 2 more minions, and he might try to go for it since Deficio is down on that flash. And they are going to push in this bush. So they do have the aggression in the lane. They have the control of the lane. And we'll see how the Wolves do to fight back and take it.
Yeah, Deficio putting that ward down just to make sure that, you know, they've got full vision of where Leona is and whether she's ready to come in, as the Zenith Blade not quite got the range to connect onto the test there from that one. Double ups coming in as well. But now we see level 2 on both Deficio and the test as well.
And the thing is, both of those teams don't really have sustain. They both start with Doran's Blade, so they need to auto-attack as much as possible to heal up. But with the way Yellow Pete and Crip are playing it, they're not letting this happen. And Deficio investing a lot into wards into that bush as well, putting a pink down because Spencer is waiting in lane. He wants to come down and help out that lane with a gank, but it's not going to happen because Yellow Pete's keeping that wave pushed up far enough that they'll see him coming.
You've got to have control of your side of the bush against that Leona. There's no way that you can give that control up. As we are seeing the test coming, Svenskeren actually is backed away now from his bottom side, and he's going back off towards his wolves. It's top lane Wicked versus Godbro. We've said it before, Godbro has had a good couple of days, looked very solid in his last 2 games with Shen.
Yes, he really has, and he's going up against Wicked, who always complains that he never gets 1v1s, and he's getting it right here for, I guess, like, a few times in the entirety of LCS, as we see Snoopy coming in behind Bjergsen, trying to go for a gank here.
Not sure if he'll be able to finish this one off, though. He's going to put down a decent amount of damage there. Q comes in from him, and even Svenskeren did come around to cover and then went back off to the Wraith camp, dashing in to finish them. So no early first blood. Kind of what we expected, though, from this one.
Yeah, both teams playing very cautious, and I mean, even if one team loses this and they don't get 4th position, or they get out of 5th position, they can still look back on it before the playoffs and look at what happened, what went wrong, what went right for your team, and try to replicate that in the playoffs.
Here we go. Bjergsen going to go in a flash forced. Froggen not wanting to be a part of that one. He does have barrier, of course, in there as well. So no ignite for Froggen on that middle lane, and there is a pink ward down by Crepo. So EG have slowly but surely pushed the lane out there, and now they have control of that bush. That's surely going to force the Wolves to play a little bit more defensive. Wicked is forced to flash there in that top side as well, but the taunt is down, and he's in a lot of trouble here. Is he going to be able to escape from this one? Godbro's tanking up the turret. They managed to get first blood. Wicked gets the kill back, but the question is now, can Svenskeren escape from this one? Snoopy's coming up there, and Svenskeren flashes to safety.
Yeah, good job on him just to escape right there. Godbro, I'm not sure he needed to really commit that far under that turret, but still doesn't matter in the end. You got the first blood, you got the assist, and you're going to be doing a lot better in that lane, because he was having a lot of troubles with Wicked as we started. And Evil Genius, as you mentioned, you know, they pushed up the bush, they got control of it, and the thing is, if they ever want to go for a gank at the bot lane with Froggen, you're going to have Snoopy there as well. You need someone to tank up that turret with Crepo to really go for the damage and really try to pick up any kills. So it leads me to think that Froggen might be heading up towards the top side more often.
Let's have a look at the early items coming out in that middle lane. Boots and pots still for Froggen. He's not been back just yet to buy up. However, Syndra has, of course, Tear and a Doran's Ring.
Okay, so the Tear, he's going to definitely want to stack that very soon. Bjergsen knows that Evil Geniuses does a fantastic job at controlling the enemy blue buffs, so he's just kind of maybe cautiously working around that, as we do have Snoopy heading down. He is not spotted in this bush. This could be very bad. Deficio doesn't have flash up just yet, but it will be very soon. And we'll see if EG's going to try to make a play here.
Yeah, Snoopy there. I think they were telling him to back away a little bit from the front of that bush, because that's exactly why. You see Deficio throw that glitter lance down. It didn't hit Snoopy. They don't know that he's there fully. And look at this. The Wolves are actually closing in from the top side as well. They're going to go for a 4-man, maybe even 5-man gank, because Shen, oh no, it's still level 5. Well, getting a little bit too trigger happy with that one. And Snoopy in trouble there. And this could be very, very interesting. We are going to see Twisted Fate coming down to this bottom side. Can EG turn it around? Svenskeren going to be the focus. Only a couple more hits needed, but Syndra managing to force them away. And after a big amount of players hit this bottom lane, no kills.
That was a great slot of Bjergsen to keep Svenskeren alive. He didn't have flash to get away, so he was a little bit caught right there. But still, look what happens. Copenhagen Wolves were able to get the ultimate out of Froggen, so he wouldn't be aggressive with it. They're forced to use it defensively, but he's waiting for Bjergsen in this bush.
That gets a stun down. Snoopy coming in from the side. The Wither in position. Bjergsen, no flash available for this one. The Ignite is going to be put on towards Snoopy. And here comes Svenskeren. What a turnaround. And Godbro's hit 6. He's going to come down. Where's the taunt? There it is. Froggen locked up. And this is another kill surely coming down. Froggen making a run as fast as he can, but you don't get away from Sin. That's a double kill for Svenskeren.
And Svenskeren and Godbro both showing us exactly how strong they become in LCS if the test gets engaged upon, but I don't think they're going to commit to this. And a great ultimate out of Godbro and a great initiation by Bjergsen to bait Snoopy in a little bit too far. It's Svenskeren. I mean, he was popping pots like crazy, came around the corner of that banana bush and was able to pick up those kills.
So nicely done there out of the Copenhagen Wolves after now sending a big team down to that bottom lane to try and get something. Well, they got it in the end, but in that middle lane after all that leaves them almost 1,000 gold in the lead.
And the thing is, you keep giving them comfort champions. You gave Svenskeren, you took away his Jarvan, but you gave him Zin. You took away Kasten off of Bjergsen, but he got Syndra. You didn't do anything to Godbro, so he got his Shen. Like, they're playing so many comfort champions as well as EG, but Copenhagen Wolves are so far outplaying them at this point.
Yep, but it's still very early doors. 8 minutes in, we are into this decider game. Snoopy gets a ward down inside of the Copenhagen Wolves jungle. Wicked up in this top lane. They both actually bought a Ruby Crystal that first time around. There was a Null Magic Mantle added in for Shen. Extra protection, of course, against Wicked up there. Blue buff's now going to be given over to those APs as well.
I wouldn't be a little surprised to see Godbro actually build some cooldown reduction. Maybe that Candle Gem, just so we can keep up with the ulti cooldown of Twisted Fate, because you saw like how crucial it can really be if he gets down there in time. Wouldn't be surprised at that, but we do see the Haunting guys coming out of Wicked with that Ruby Crystal, and of course the Wolves are going to back away and buy, sitting on 1,900 gold right now, and that is a lot of money to spend.
And as we say that, they actually came back in to that bottom lane. The AD carry, Yellow Pete, has now gone home as Godbro takes another beating in this top lane. As I was going to say, are they going to go for this one with Crepo all alone? But he's a full health Leona. He's not exactly the easiest target to drop.
I like what they did, though, because we talked about him backing. They had a lot of money to spend, but what they did was they stayed around long enough because they knew Yellow Pete was going to go back if they like stopped showing themselves for a little bit, and because of that, Yellow Pete's going to miss some CS, as you even see on your minimap. Crepo trying to just tank up the minion wave so he won't miss out on too much. At the top lane, we see Godbro going in.
Yeah, the taunt will land here on towards Wicked. Svenskeren going to get in there. The equalizer is down, but it's not going to equal anything up here. Godbro gets the kill.
Svenskeren so good right now, and that pairing with Godbro just coming in from the lane. The calls that are happening, like the communication that the Wolves are doing right now is so spot on. Every single time Svenskeren comes around the lane, he's able to pick up a kill and able to help out the team.
There we just saw how dangerous Bjergsen is. Unloads everything on towards Frog, and he has to flash away. And, well, not very healthy anymore, is he? That was pretty much half of the mana used there by Bjergsen, so need to be a little careful of that, but you've got the good old tier in there to help things out as well. Let's have a look at the AD carries. Items coming in now. BF Sword and a long sword for Misfortune. The Cutlass, along with the boots now being picked up for the Tess.
Yeah, so we're going to see him go that Blade of the Rune King into the Infinity Edge build that a lot of Varses are going these days. And of course, it looks like Yellow Pete will be going for his Bloodthirster, I want to say, with that.
I was gonna dive, sorry. Scary moment. Svenskeren, you know, he's got a boots of mobility, first of all, and wherever he's been so far, they've managed to pick up kills.
Yes, that is very true, and if anything, he's been able to turn around potential deaths for his team, so he's really denied that away from EG, but look what happened. Wick is actually sitting at mid lane right now, farming up. You see Godbro on the top lane just pushing it out. He has ulti to get in, but this looks like EG wants to go for Dragon very soon.
Certainly looks that way. Wards down all over the place. A pink ward put in there as well. There is blue buff picked up by Syndra. All 5 are there from EG. 4 plus a Shen can come into this one, and Svenskeren going to take a bit of a beating. The bullet time comes across. Deficio goes very, very low, but the Tess has locked him up. That's a brilliant taunt coming out of Godbro. The Tess gets the kill. He is over the wall, though. Are they going to be able to escape this one? Wicked's chasing in. The Tess has managed to get away, but now Bjergsen going to be the focus. He will drop to Froggen. Godbro and the Tess did get away, and that will be a 2-for-1 in favor of EG, but the Dragon is going to go their way as well.
So many great plays out of both teams right there. So we saw Svenskeren get caught a little bit, and he got locked down, but you saw him flash right before the bullet time happened because he had Shen coming in on top of him. So he dodged that, and it kept him alive long enough for Godbro to get into the fight. Then you saw him taunt through Yellow Pete, and they're able to pick him up right away. But luckily for EG, with that equalizer coming down with the sustained damage that Wicked can put down, they're able to take that fight in their favor and take Dragon, but both teams played that very well.
And good amounts of damage onto that middle outer turret as well, never to be underestimated. So what are we seeing picked up? For Rumble there, Wicked of course. Haunting guys already in, plus those Sorcerer Shoes. Other side, the Giant's Belt helping things out with those Merc Treads for Shen.
And we do see some early penetration coming out of Bjergsen with the Haunting guys for himself. Doesn't have boots just yet, which it wouldn't have saved him in the last fight, but a little bit nice to get around a little bit quicker. So he's just delaying that a little bit longer. He wants to get more damage because he almost has potential to one-shot Frog with his entire combo if he lands every ability. It's not quite there just yet, but obviously by avoiding the boots, it's getting him ever so closer.
Yeah, definitely will. Now Svenskeren's coming around to the middle lane again. By coming around to the middle lane, I mean coming around the backside. It looks like they might try for a dive here onto Froggen. He's put a ward down on top of the blue buff, and he's been pinged to go to top. Or he's pinging himself, of course, to say, I'm coming, you better be ready for me, because we're going to go in onto Wicked.
Yeah, Stupe is coming around the top side as well, so he's going to try to counter this gank if it does come in. Svenskeren obviously standing in a ward. I'm pretty sure he knows it right now, or should know very soon as Wicked already heads over to him. So he will be able to escape that. And Froggen was even heading up towards the top side, so I wanted to think that EG could have potentially baited that in and picked up a couple of kills.
Yeah, trying to close in for the 3-man. Snoopy has got through that rush. There's 1 minion there, I think, which is still going to be giving the vision. So Snoopy going to have to wait until Wicked does drop that one. There we go. Now he can get through into the next part. But Svenskeren is also waiting at the back as the taunt is going to land in on towards Wicked. They're going to go in for this one. Equalizer is down. Svenskeren losing a lot of HP. Uses his ulti. That's not enough on Wicked. Did get hit by the turret. Froggen now coming up to this top lane. Have they got the damage to finish off Shen? Snoopy might even go down to Godbro here. Here comes Bjergsen around the side. Chances of Snoopy getting away are pretty slim at this point. What? Well, he's running for it, that's for sure. Gonna go down. Is he gonna get between those 2 turrets without dying? I don't think he's got enough time here for the reset, and he's taken 2 turret hits from that one.
Wow.
He's still going.
And
amazing
he
stuff.
right there.
That was crazy.
That was well played by him too, because he went towards the right side, back towards the base of Wolves, leading himself away from EG, so he made it so they followed him and still managed to escape in the end. So it was a great turn. They pick up 1 kill for no deaths right there. And of course, Froggen was coming up towards the top side, well played by him. And you just saw the damage Wicked can put out with that penetration build he has going on. Like, they were standing in the equalizer, and Svenskeren was just melting.
And we saw Snoopy's final recall position was behind the outer turret on the bottom lane. He actually walked the entire width of the map there to escape the chasers. But credit to him, not going down. Important thing for Evil Geniuses. Looks like that blue buff here is going to be stolen away by the Copenhagen Wolves. That's going to be given over to Syndra.
Yeah, very well done. You have to keep in mind that they took their blue really late in the game. So the timers won't be perfectly up. So pretty much when Syndra's blue buff is about to wear off, he'll be able to pick up his own yet again. And taking away from Froggen means his ult cooldown's going to be a lot longer. It's going to be harder for him to sustain in the lane a little bit. And then you give Bjergsen that nice cooldown reduction to potentially one-shot Froggen if it happens.
Well, we'll see. Froggen's been playing quite defensive on that middle lane now. Doesn't want to get into trouble and is actually ahead in the CS. 131 to 124. Gone for that Sheen as his first item.
I see Svenskeren taking red again on your minimap. As you see the test trying to push up here. He needs to be a little careful though, because he could get engaged upon by Crepple. He does have cleanse to get away, obviously, so he will be fine. It's still Froggen's ult. My screen's actually up right now.
It is on our screen.
Just making sure.
Yeah, Froggen's ultimate
just used
is
it not that long ago.
available. So he could get involved down on this bottom lane. But right now, not really too much of an opening for that. Bottom lane of Evil Geniuses is going to be going home. Red buff going to be given here to Snoopy. And things quieten down a little bit. We had a bit of a hectic 10 minutes or so there, but things getting back into that farming phase as both teams not wanting to make the mistakes. The AD carries have started to get up to some bigger items here. Bloodthirster, Berserker Greaves compared to the Blade of the Ruin King and the Boots of Speed up until now for Varus.
Yeah, it's really going to help the test in his mobility to get away from the enemy team. And Joe, you're saying it is quite a calm period right now, but I think about a minute, 20 seconds, it might change a little bit around that dragon side. And as I was talking about the blue buff earlier, how Bjergsen, like when his is about to run out, he'll be able to pick up his own. He does it right there. And that's going to be very crucial for this dragon fight that should break out.
Yeah, Bjergsen refreshing that blue. 1 minute to go. I don't expect too much before that, although Svenskeren looks like he might try and make some kind of play over onto that bottom side of the map. He was being pinged out furiously there by Evil Geniuses, and wise enough himself to get away from that before anyone can close in around him.
We do have a pink ward though on Creppo, so that's why I'm thinking that dragon will come down since you deny that vision obviously, and then you have Froggen's ultimate up available for that too. But then you also have Godbro's ulti if he wants to come down from that top side. He is level 11, so he has rank 2 of it. So the person he's going to ulti on will be able to keep them alive a lot longer. It looks like in about 30 seconds time this actually will happen.
Yeah, the pink ward actually being used there to get rid of that ward that Svenskeren put down, so they know that that dragon's starting to close in. They don't want the wolves to have vision of that ramp.
And it's also very smart because it denies the vision away from the wolves in terms of when Froggen's going to come down to gank, because that's like a very common bush to ward up. So he won't be spotted when he does go down, obviously be out of lane, so it's kind of like a sign, but you're not exactly sure where he's going. He even has a pink ward towards the top side of the river, or top side of the middle river, to spot that side as well. So he has that opportunity to get into either lane he needs to, as you see the engage happening.
Oh, Crepo's gone very deep from this one, but they will take one down. There is a chain of corruption coming in. Froggen got involved, Svenskeren going in there as well. Crepo is now very low, but the equalizer in a great position. It's forcing the flashes all over the place. Tessa's going to get stunned up from that one, and that's 3 quick kills coming in. All started off with a beautiful move from Crepo.
And I was doing what all supports should do, going in. He was able to survive in the end from that too, but he was able to pick up those 3 kills and Dragon. So we saw this happen last time where EG picked up those 2 kills, got Dragon right after that, and the gold deficit that they had is a complete lead for them as they're up about 3,000 gold right now. Bjergsen's trying to push this turret down, and he actually might be able to get it.
I think so as well. I don't think Snoopy is in a position to get there fast enough. Bjergsen will finish off that tower. That's actually the first one of this game. 18.5 minutes in.
Well, it won't be the last, I can tell you that, as Froggen's pushing that bottom lane with his sheep.
I'd imagine not.
I felt pretty safe and confident in saying that. But Froggen pushing that bottom there. Now we do see Bjergsen trying to go after Snoopy here. If he gets a slow, he might be able to pick up a kill if he can follow up with a stun.
He's going to get the slow in there. He's going to get the stun as well. He's put the ignite down, and the dog is dead.
Sorry. I don't know why, but that caught me off guard right there. But great play by Bjergsen right there, knowing the limits of his damage, as you saw. And he picks up a much-needed kill as well. I mean, he's 1-1-3 right now. In the game previously, he played Syndra. He had a couple more kills at this point than now. But look at his item. He went for an easy large rod, so he knows, like, he needs the damage for his team right now. He has to come up big for them. And with the test, with that Blade of the Rune King building towards his IE, is going to be helping out.
Yeah, and that was the real point. Once he got that needlessly large rod, he knows how much more damage he could do there. And Snoopy, who now he's going to have to be the tanky one in this team, along with Leona, just got absolutely murdered by him. That's EG here just trying to defend against Svenskeren, who now just trots on through, boots some ability, sticks a ward down, walks away.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Wicked was trying to come down to help him since he was being chased by Yellow Pete and Crepo. But with those boots mobility, like you were saying, he's able to just escape completely. And Froggen, he's sitting at the bottom lane defending the turret himself. And it looks like they want to go for a 3-man push on this top lane. They want to get Godbro. They want to punish him and take that turret down.
Svenskeren coming around here. He's going to spot Leona. And that pink ward in the bush there as well.
Oh,
so
Bjergsen's coming down the bot lane, Joe.
They're going to go for this one. Twisted Fate is going to get sandwiched here. Does have Destiny for a quick escape, but of course he probably won't get that off with Bjergsen here right on top of him. He's going to miss the stun card, comes out, he gets knocked back by Bjergsen. Has he got the damage that Sonya's going to save him for now, but for now is not long enough. He goes down and it's Bjergsen that picks up the kill. Here is Godbro going low. Great ulti out of Svenskeren, but the Solar Flare comes in. They're not finished here. They're going to get right on top of Svenskeren. He gets away from the bullet time, but he will die in the end to Wicked.
And the thing is, the Wolves have a 3-man push on this bottom there. Now, they could continue to go for it if they wanted, but they are backing out as Bjergsen's just sticking around. Snoopy pushing that middle lane. They're trying to do some great damage on these turrets, and the thing is, EG's still pushing the top lane while you see Wolves back out of the bottom. They might be able to get this turret, but you do have the test coming in hot pursuit. You have Godbro coming as well, and they're trying to stop this.
Yeah, between Syndra and Lulu, they're not exactly the turret clearing force that they need at this point, as the inner turret in the top lane goes down. Outer turret, of course, will say goodbye Snoopy. Red buff going to be taken away, and this is where it really starts to get dangerous because EG will control your jungle.
Yes, they will, and we need to see potentially an Oracle coming out of Deficio soon to really stop that from happening. But the Wolves, in the meantime, we talked about them not being a great tower-taking force. They have gotten it very low at this point. Looks like Bjergsen almost wants to commit to taking it. So it would make things a little bit easier since the EG wasn't able to take the top tier 2 turret.
All those wards are down. You can see them there. Perfect vision coming out of Evil Geniuses on that Copenhagen on Wolves' top side jungle.
Actually, sorry, they did take the turret.
Yeah. In the top lane.
Yep.
Exactly. And that's why that ward is now... well, of course, the ward is blue from EG, but the jungle is blue, is what I'm trying to get at there. There's 5-6 wards down in the top side as well. And Tessie, you can see, just pushing that middle wave back out. Losing a middle turret on the inner line would be very, very bad.
It would, but we'll see if either team can take advantage of that. And we see Deficio, he went for an Oracle, which I was calling out earlier, that is a very needed item right now because, like you were saying before, EG, if they take those turrets like that, you know they're going to control your jungle. And the Wolves know this as well, and Defisio's trying to stop that from happening. There's no words in the bottom side of the jungle as he's unfortunately finding out, but obviously he will make his way up there very shortly, and he'll deny all that vision away because there's 5 wards waiting to be killed.
Right now, Wolves are pushing down the middle lane here. They know that they have to be real careful here, EG, that Bjergsen doesn't get on top of one of them. And in the end, it's just to push the tower down. Actually, Nasus was in the bottom there. That push up from Snoopy has managed to get them. One Froggen going to get caught out. Destiny is going to get interrupted, but the flash will save Froggen. He used his barrier, his flash, and his Destiny there. Great play by Bjergsen right there to interrupt that. He even had Zonias available for Froggen, which we saw earlier, just stop that ultimate completely. But a great play to the Wolves, with all of them going towards the top side of the map. They really want to take this turret down. And I have to say, with Froggen not having flash or barrier available anymore, they might be able to take it because Bjergsen's ulti is on a relatively quick cooldown. Yep, and those minions are going to start to come in. Are they going to be able to push through? Wicked and Snoopy, Yellow Pea and Froggen are all there. And it only takes a good solar flare to come out of Crepo to really change that. The bullet time to go across them. But the Copenhagen Wolves are going to go for it anyway, and EG are actually backing away. And so in the meantime, we see Froggen pushing that middle lane. He wants to go for that tier 2 turret. As you see, the Wolves going to have to back up very quickly. I'm curious to see if Crepo's going to try interrupting them as EG is pushing out the top side. So we might actually see this turret go down to Froggen. Yep, already half HP. Wolves trying to get themselves back in a position to defend it. Wicked going to try and cut them off here in the jungle. Gets the vision down. And Froggen actually will back away from that middle turret. Let's have a look how much health it has remaining. And it's less than half HP. And look at that. The test is absolutely demolished there by Wicked. Yeah, you see how far ahead he is in his build. He's 4-2 and 2 at this point. He's even in CS with Shen currently. But he has so much damage to see. Defisio getting caught. Yeah, Solar Flare goes down. Defisio in all kinds of trouble as the bullet time comes through. Svenskeren actually took most of that there. Snoopy going to be looking for the finishing touches, but a great flash from Svenskeren will get into relative safety here. The rest of the team coming in to back up. Look how low the Wolves went in that one, but crucially, no death. So lucky for the Wolves, because if Defisio lost that Oracle, that would have been a tragedy for him. He's not sitting on that much gold anymore, and he cannot really afford to buy another one right now. They need to keep that alive. That was a great play by the Wolves to get that nice disengage. And there's Froggen again pushing in towards that top lane. This is a Baron, but there is a ward there at the back. So we're going to see everything used here on towards it. 4 of them. Can the Wolves do anything about it? There is the Twisted Fate ultimate popped, and actually he's going to join straight into that one. So they know that Bjergsen is around. EG, they're going to back away. Wisely so as well, I think. Oh, Wicked's going to get stunned up here, but is the damage enough? Not quite there. The ultimate used by Bjergsen. And now, with that, the Wolves are saying, well, Baron? Yes. They know EG was low after that Baron attempt, so they have an easy opportunity going for it, but EG's not backing away. They're going to try to come in here. And Wicked doesn't have flash to get away anymore. We could see the engage happening very shortly. This is a very delicate situation right now, as the equalizer does come down from Wicked. Probably a good time to get that out there and stop the Baron attempt by the Wolves, because if they'd have got into a fight, would have either had to run away or die anyway. So not a bad call whatsoever. The Wolves now switch to middle lane, deciding that Baron is not worth the risk at this point. The thing is, they have to be careful. Bjergsen is not there to help out. They need him there for these fights to be able to kill anyone on the team. And smartly, they do back away. Bjergsen's getting very close to his death cap or his Zonias, whichever item he wants to go for right now. I believe he can buy the Zonias. And that is going to be very, very needy in these fights when he's the one they're jumping on. Yep, there is the Zonias picked up. Same as Twisted Fate as Evil Geniuses. Can't take Baron, guys. Next best thing at this point going to be the Dragon. And they will be able to get the second one of the game for them and get a nice bit of extra gold. And looking at these items just a little bit more, I mean, we see Godbro. We talked about playing Shen in the top lane where you lose a lot of damage because you have him up there, but he's building Triforce, it looks like, yet again, which is going to help out a lot. And you see Stupe, he's actually has his Aegis going for the Runic Bulwark really soon, which is going to help out. I mean, Bjergsen wasn't able to pretty much one-shot Frog anymore because he hit the Zonias. He wasn't able to one-shot Wicked. Next best guess is Yellow Pea, but he's building a GA now, and with that Runic Bulwark, I don't know if he's going to have the damage or the penetration to do it. So one thing we talked about before the game was Snoopy probably needs to go flash if he's going to get on his target, with that Lulu there in the team to really slow him down. He did in the end go with Ghost. He's now also gone in with those Boots of Swiftness, which, you know, against the slow is going to give you that extra reduction, plus the faster movement speed as well. So that's a good pick up here for Snoopy. And the thing is, like, looking with their combo of Rumble, he doesn't really have to be the initiate for their team anymore like a Volibear needs to, because you have the equalizer to set him up. So with the Ghost, with the Boots of Swiftness, he can get in there, get the Wither down onto the right target.
So we do have the Wolves 4-man pushing this middle lane right now. And Godbro doing what Shen does best, split pushing still, Joe.
Yep, down that bottom lane. He's going to be Twisted Fate that's the one that has to deal with him. But once he gets that Triforce finish, we saw it yesterday, how much damage he actually puts out. So Froggen has to be really careful about that one. He's got the Zhonya's and the Lich Bane of his own right now, and those Home Guards, so he can get back into that bottom lane as fast as he can.
Yeah, he's just trying to farm up as much as possible. He's leading the game right now, currently 10 up over Bjergsen, who has the highest for the Wolves. And yeah, I mean, mentioning Godbro on that Triforce, he soloed Yellowstar on Twitch. Like,
yep.
I mean, he turned him on the turrets. Obviously, it wasn't a complete solo, but he still outplayed him, was able to pick up that kill because of the unexpected damage that he can put out. He doesn't have a Sunfire Cape, so he can't really split push that quickly. And the EG, I guess, kind of realizes this because they're not really too worried about that giant wave at the bottom lane. They can just get there eventually and farm it up. But with that Triforce, it's going to help out quite a bit.
You can see that both teams are very aware of the closeness of this game right now. I mean, in gold, it's actually a decent lead for Evil Geniuses with those Dragon pickups there. We can see the individual gold is high in between 1,000 and 2,000 between each player here on the team.
And I mean, even with that gold lead, Evil Geniuses, they know, like, it's Bjergsen. We can't really make a misstep because he will take advantage of that every situation, even if they're down, or even if they're down like 3,000 to 4,000 gold. And you're going to see capitalize on it, but you're seeing Froggen split pushing again. He might get caught by Godbro here. Let's see if he can take him 1v1.
Yep, Godbro's going to have a go. This one does have that phage, so he can keep the slowdown onto Froggen, but Froggen's got a stun card available and will turn around that damage, and Godbro knocked down to half HP. And that's pretty much what Froggen's going to have to do if he's going to stop that Shen, is just put massive amounts of damage and force him to back away so that he can't stick around, while at the same time being careful that no one traps him from the other side.
And he has Mercury Treads for that to help facilitate that, because if he gets taunted, it's obviously have a reduced cooldown or a reduced duration, and he's able to apply that pressure on a Godbro. You saw him, he just like, Godbro was like, oh, like I got the taunt on you, I did some damage, but I can't keep up with you if my phase is a proc right away, so I'm going to have to back away. And we do see the engage happening on the Godbro.
There is the stun card coming down. That's going to allow Krepo to get in there very easily. Godbro slowed, stunned, finished off by Froggen.
And we do have the Wolves coming around, but I don't think they're going to be able to do anything here as they are backing off. I don't think they can defend this turret either, as Wicked has his equalizer up. And EG, it looks like they're actually booking it right over to Baron.
Yep, and why not? The entire team from the Wolves on this right-hand side of the map there in the bottom lane defending. And EG going to go straight over there. We do have an Oracle on both teams right now, so able to clear out. And you can see that EG have got amazing wards down right now across the entire map, and they are going to start that one off. There is a ward right in the back. Krepo needs to get in there, though.
And one thing we have to keep in mind, Stupi is level 13 to the 12th Sven Scaren, so his smite will be higher damage as we see Krepo going in.
Yeah, Krepo going to go right in there. The bullet time comes down. Zonya's used by Bjergsen. He's dodged all of the damage that came his way. Can they get in there? The Varus ultimate was brilliant as well. Sven Scaren going to have Stand United onto him, but he won't need it. It's him that picks up the kill. Here comes Godbro, stunned, but he's going to get the taunt off onto both Froggen and Wicked. Froggen trying to run for his life, but the focus will come first onto Wicked. There is the wild growth on Godbro as well. Yellow Pete's going to die. Froggen's trying to run the other way, but Deficio has already spotted him. There's a stun card coming out. The test flashes in. Completely misses the slow, actually. But importantly, Lulu survived with hardly any health. Froggen now used his ulti to get down to the bottom lane. He's cheekily going to push that one.
Wow, you just saw right there how close the game still is, even with that gold advantage for EG. The Wolves, like Bjergsen, a perfect bait of all that damage that EG tried to put out against him with that Zhonya's, and then you saw his entire team back him up. Sven Scaren had his ulti to knock them away to like really give him an out, but he just flashed it, and then you saw the Varus ulti come in. I mean, you pointed out during the fight, that just locked down the entirety of EG. They're able to pick up those kills, and able to close this gap lead, and Froggen did a smart play trying to get away to push that turret, but Bjergsen was alive. Actually, yeah, he backed up, has home guarded boots, and was able to get back and save the turret.
Yeah, that was a really great move there from Bjergsen as well. The fact that he got hit by that solar flare and then the bullet time came across.
Right.
None of that damage hardly touched him because of the Zhonya's.
And the thing is, we saw something similar like this with the Fnatic game versus Wolves, where Fnatic forgot about Bjergsen being on Twisted Fate and having his ulti up, where you know, Wolves chased him down. He came with his ulti and was able to get 3 kills. But the same thing happened here with the Wolves and Shen. Godbro came back alive, and he has ulti. If EG starts Baron and baits the Wolves out for it, Godbro's going to have to come in and ulti. Like, he's going to have to save his team. And with that, with the armor and the damage that EG has, like, Froggen can continue to split push this bottom lane and really take an inhibitor quite quickly.
One thing that we didn't really talk about is the fact that Yellow Pete with that Guardian Angel is, you know, effectively a 6-man now in this team.
Yeah, he is, and the thing is, like, he can afford to play aggressive, he can afford to be out of position. Like, just like we saw Bjergsen do in the last major fight around Baron. Like, he got caught with a solar flare, but he just popped his Zhonya's. It allowed the rest of his team to get in a good position to start the fight. Now, Yellowpete can do that himself. Froggen can also do it if he wants to ult in the middle of the team. And we'll see if Yellowpete's able to really use that Guardian Angel to its max effectiveness.
Oh, Wicked just coming through the jungle there on his own. Luckily for him, the Copenhagen Wolves don't have wards that deep into the EG jungle. Mid lane was pushed out once again, and Wolves are going to be the ones now to take position over by Baron.
This game has really come to a standstill at this point because Evil Geniuses are trying to let Froggen just split push the entire time since he's slowly whittling away at the base that Wolves have. But Wolves are trying to make some play happen. They might actually have it here.
Well, Snoopy taking a bit of damage will actually... I was going to say pop his ghost, but he didn't pop his ghost in that one. He's just moving fast because of those boosts of swiftness, of course. And Svenskeren, he's going to H-check straight in. Actually, he's going straight in towards Yellowpete. Copenhagen Wolves going in for this one. We will see Shen joining into the fight. Can they manage to pick up the kills? Ulti comes out of Svenskeren. Froggen is there as well. Wild Growth goes on to Svenskeren, who gets away with a flash there. The ultimate did come out of Varus. Bjergsen will flash away, but Froggen finishes him off with a wild card. The test is very, very low. Harpoon misses, and what a taunt here from Godbro. It's probably going to cost him his life. Actually, no, they get in on towards the test as well. And Godbro surely going to be unhappy about that one. He pretty much sacrificed himself there for the good of his team, and the test kind of stayed around too long.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, that was a great job by Godbro to take his own life and save the test, but, you know, the rest of EG is like, forget you, we don't want you, we want the test. And a great turnaround by EG right there to take that fight completely. You even saw... You know, Snoopy, he got into the back line of the Wolves and was just a nuisance for the test and Bjergsen to deal with. But on the other hand of that, we saw Svenskeren and Godbro doing the same thing to Evil Geniuses, staying in Yellowpete's face, staying in Froggen's face when he did finally come in. But the thing was is that Snoopy was able to tank the damage a lot better than the Wolves were. Actually, no, you know, ignore that comment. The Wolves, or sorry, the EG was able to do more damage onto those two main tanks of Wolves than the Wolves were to do against EG.
Well, we've just seen the DFG, Deathfire Grasp, being picked up for Froggen now on Twisted Fate. Had the aim with the Zhonyas, the Rabadons, the Lichbane. A lot of damage to players and a lot of damage to turrets as well, which is where he's going to be at his strong point. And his cooldown on Destiny, less of that than Godbro, which poses a bit of a problem for Copenhagen Wolves.
It seriously is, Joe, because now you're going to see Froggen keep pushing this bottom lane. I mean, there's no reason not to. He has blue buff. He has pretty much 40% CDR at this point. He can afford to keep doing that. Godbro can't go head-to-head against him anymore. You're going to have to send someone else like Bjergsen. But if you do that, obviously Froggen can escape when Bjergsen can't do that. And that should be a free Baron for EG if they want to go for it in that kind of situation.
And that's a massive chunk of the Wolves' damage as well.
Yes.
I mean, even if Froggen tries to Destiny, he can be interrupted there by Bjergsen, which would mean then they'd have a 4-on-4 fight, which I also don't think is the best for the Copenhagen Wolves, because that Syndra needs to be there.
Yeah, he does, but... Yeah, he does. I mean, the test, he wants to be the person to be able to do enough damage, but his cleanse can only be off cooldown so long. And the thing is, if he gets withered by Stupid, there goes all their damage during that part of the fight. I mean, Godbro, he has a Triforce, but that's not going to be enough to equal how much the test's damage is going to be minimized.
So Froggen gets back into split push mode. Gonna be heading up that bottom lane. Godbro there to defend it. We've slipped back into that phase that we had what feels like 15, maybe even it was 15 minutes ago. As the Baron dance-off continues, Oracles, pink wards, all being thrown down. And up until now, no real push. We do have a second GA, by the way, on the EG team, and that is with Wicked.
And I mean, EG was already pretty much hands down winning these fights, but having to eat through both those GAs, when I believe Yellowpete, yeah, he still has his available, they weren't even able to take that away.
EG and Zhonya's for Wicked.
Yeah, so you're not going to kill Wicked.
Die.
And they're going to have to find some way around that SC and Bjergsen. He might get caught here.
Yeah, gets hit with the harpoon, and look at that, already a lot of his damage gone. Will Zhonya's up, Krepo did put the solar flare down there. Bullet time, Svenskeren gets right in the middle. Krepo is up there as well, but here comes Froggen. Varus ulti was good, but we see here the test being completely popped there. Svenskeren trying to get in on towards Froggen. He will die from this one. It is a Froggen kill. That's now already a 3-for-1 here, and EG is still chasing in. Can they lock down Deficio? Snoopy not going to care about him for now, that they want turrets.
Joe, did you see how fast the test just got blown up right there? Froggen just flashed over that wall, used his entire... Actually, I didn't flash, but he ulted over the wall, used his entire combo on him, and he just exploded.
They're gonna finish. Are they going to finish now? I mean, they've got this bottom turret open. They can absolutely muller these turrets without any real problem.
I think in typical EG style, they're going to play it safe, take the inhibitors, go back, take Baron, and then push for the win. Actually, sorry, push for the third inhibitor, back, and then push for the win.
I don't think you're wrong with that one. You see, the Evil Geniuses are, in fact, going to be backing away from this one. Probably want to get more monies, or more items from the money that they've got from that one. Let's have a look how much they're sitting on here as they all decide to recall. Yeah, they need a shopping trip right now, and that's exactly what they're going to do. So let's run through the items. Last Whisper for Misfortune, Iceborne Gauntlet for Nasus, Void Staff for Twisted Fate.
They were already winning the fights single-handedly right now, but that just made them so much more strong. The Wolves, like, you saw Froggen, he just one-shot the test. If he can keep doing that, the Copenhagen Wolves will have 0 damage to really apply. Bjergsen can be shut down quite easy. You see Twisted Fate going in on the Deficio.
Yeah, Deficio in a lot of trouble. DFG, everything coming in, and he does get the kill in the end. There's a Zhonya's to stop Svenskeren having the desired effect, and that's a 1-for-0 already, and that's just opens things up for Baron.
Where did that Yordle go, Joe? I didn't even see what happened
Didn't
right
last
there.
very long.
Not at all, and that's just the power of Froggen right now on Twisted Fate and the items he's built up. He's pretty much full build right now. Actually, he is full build at this point. See, EG, they're trying to bait them in. They have an Oracle on Crepo, and they know Wolves don't have one anymore since Deficio was killed.
That hot ward going to be taken away again at the back. Baron being started off. Godbro throws another one in there. That's going to be cleared straight out. Doesn't even last a half second.
Oh, no!
Bjergsen doing the damage. Svenskeren going to come in from the side. Actually, Froggen taking a lot of damage, but Svenskeren goes down. Froggen now godlike. Crepo has been kept out of the fight, but Godbro is up against 4 there on the top side. And that's 2 kills in that one. It looked far too easy for EG.
Svenskeren, he actually flashed the wall blindly, trying to go in for a steal right there, and he just got killed. Like, EG just backed off, just waited for a couple of seconds, and he was like, oh, I'm kind of stuck here. Guys, I'm one of you, don't attack me. And he ends up dying anyways, and now Evil Geniuses, with that Baron buff, they can go for the finish here, or they can do what we said earlier, take the third inhibitor, backfire, and then finish.
Have a bit of a shopping spree. Why not? But they are going towards his top side now. Third and final inhibitor turret will be made short work of. The inhibitor itself will be going down here as well. Bjergsen is going to get in trouble now as Froggen starts to come in the base. The test doesn't last longer than 2 seconds. There's the bullet time as Froggen is going to use his Zhonya's, I think, for the style points there at the end. And they start to focus down the Nexus turrets. The first one is going to be falling. Second one will be made to drop as well. And now they focus in on the Nexus, and Evil Geniuses are going to secure 4th position here with a fantastic win over the Copenhagen Wolves.
And that was so well done. The game was very close. The Wolves had the very early advantage, but EG was able to claw their way back with amazing play out of Wicked, with amazing play out of Frog, and with all that split pushing, not to mention Crepo being a true support, being a real trooper going into the back lines of Copenhagen Wolves and taking one for the team.
Yeah, kind of the end of the fairy tale story here for the Copenhagen Wolves. They had that chance after starting 0 for 9, the worst start that they could have had to the season. They have to be very proud of where they've got, that's for sure. That's it from us here on the Castle Desk. We're going to go over to Demon and Quick Shot to break down the match.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. What a great game there. Evil Geniuses regain their win percentage as well as their 4th spot. That is now secured, but it does, of course, mean they still will be facing the Wolves. And doesn't that set up for a juicy match next weekend? Next Friday, that will be happening. Copenhagen Wolves versus Evil Geniuses. SK Gaming will also be playing against All Authorities then as well, but it's not all over yet. So we have a couple of replays from that game, and really, it started off so well for the Wolves, but just backfired through a couple of absolute awesome plays by Evil Geniuses.
Yeah, the game was incredibly tense from the very get-go, and the Wolves showed they weren't intimidated or afraid of Evil Geniuses. They set up a couple of very good ganks. They had the early advantage, and there was one key moment in the fairly early game, around about 18 minutes, where Evil Geniuses got a number of kills, and they managed to pick up a dragon.
So let's check out the replay. Let's get straight in there, because this is really an absolute moment of genius from a support player.
Yeah, so if we jump into the replay, you'll take a look that Evil Geniuses have positioned up some wards in and around the Dragon Pit. I've paused the game, and this ward that we've highlighted right here in the middle, this was put down about 30 seconds prior to this initial setup. What we also know is the vision from Copenhagen Wolves cannot see the Evil Geniuses members. So when we actually roll the clip, you can see that Deficio, he just goes up to ward and gets completely caught out. Solar Flare lads instantly, and this is the great play that comes out from the rest of EG. The entire team moves in here to back it up. You're going to see the equalizer coming down from Wicked relatively soon, even though it looks like this fight is going back and forth for a little bit. Wicked at max range, again, zones them out entirely with that equalizer. And It was just a great team fight. It was something that the Evil Geniuses did a number of times throughout the following minutes, and it was just their team fights and their control was on another level.
It all started off by Crepo in there, some fantastic plays, locking down number of members of that team. And of course, it didn't end there. It was really over towards that Baron fight. They had that little back and forward, but it was simply a matter of positioning for Evil Geniuses. They just got themselves in the right place at the right time when them fights started.
Yeah, and talking about some of the Baron fights, before we jump into the second replay, there was another fight in and around the Baron pit where Bjergsen actually got caught a little bit out. What Evil Geniuses did was the first and the only time they made the mistake. They threw everything at the same time. So the solar flare went down, the bullet time went down, and Bjergsen immediately just Zhonya's it and didn't get caught. What happened in the following time the team fights happened, they waited for that Zhonya's to finish and then followed it up with the bullet time or the solar flare in, alternating decisions. But it was great to see that EG realized the mistake and said, stagger the abilities, don't stack them, and they managed to pull that off later in the fight.
Yeah, and they just called out the counter. Fool me once, as it were, not fool me twice. But this next replay was really a setup, and it was Wolves that went aggressive.
Yeah, so the next replay we're going to jump into is significantly further in the matchup. We're approaching 37 minutes into the game. In this particular situation, the Copenhagen Wolves, they're feeling a bit antsy. They're feeling the pressure and the fact that EG have clawed the game back. So what the Wolves decide to do is they decide to do a Stand United engage. Svenskeren dives into Yellow Pete, and this is where Stand United gets channeled. If the target had changed at this point, the team fight could change because Yellow Pete got away to safety. And these were the engages that we've seen out of Bjergsen and Godbro yesterday and helped them pick up wins. As the fight breaks out, you can see Destiny gets used, and two very key things happen. First and foremost, Snoopy completely zones out 3 members of the Copenhagen Wolves, while the rest of EG deal with both Shen and Xin Zhao. So EG has made a very clear call. Let's get rid of the tank line. Let's get rid of the beefy champions and then shred through. And look at the damage there from bullet time. It just destroys the Wolves. There was a couple of very good abilities, but for the most part, EG were tighter grouped. They ran interference better, and they managed to just pick the right target. Godbro, he tries to save his team, but unfortunately the test once again goes down thanks to some great play out of Crepo. He landed so many Zenith blades on Leona, and every single team fight was like that for EG. They had better targeting, better singling out, and they managed to get out the kills.
Yeah, returning to his old champion, and that takes us, of course, to the MVP of the game. In this game, we are giving it, of course, to Crepo. Absolute fantastic performance. He would have got it last week if it wasn't for Froggen trying to steal his glory. He had a good go at stealing the glory again this time, didn't he? But Crepo definitely making the plays for Evil Geniuses, which was, of course, leads us to the stage because we're going to have some words with the man himself, and he's alongside our very own Bananarama girl, Shox.
Thank you. So, Crepo, game didn't start off very good for you guys. Just perfectly executed ganks by the Wolves in the beginning. So how did you react to that?
Basically, they put Rumble behind in top lane against the Shen, but we knew if Shen ports out a few times, he can slowly get back into the game, and Rumble scales way better into mid to late and team fights than a Shen does. So what we had to do was basically force the dragons. So if Shen was going to ulti in regardless if you're going to do dragon, but if you're 5 there already, then we can use Rumble's team fight strength. And I think the early game turning point was when we baited Dragon with pink wards, and we got them while they were trying to ward over. We flashed over, and then I managed to flash a taunt as well, and it was really close, and I think that's where we closed the gap. And then later on, Froggen just got in, like, super strong, and he kept 1v1ing the Shen, and that drew a lot of pressure to bot side of the map, and then we could bait Nashor over and over. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't close. I don't know why I got MVP. I think Froggen should have had MVP this match, because it's just a split push that made us be able to catch them all the time.
All right, that is why you're on the analysis desk so many times, Crepo. But anyway, Bjergsen was on his beloved Syndra again. He's actually the only person we see playing Syndra a lot. Why do you think he's so strong in his hands, and why Froggen doesn't play him, for example?
You need a lot of mechanics to play Syndra, for sure. And it's just... Bjergsen's strength when he plays Syndra is that he roams a lot. He pushes out mid and then he disappears, and it's very annoying for us to play against, because every time he missed, we had to walk back. Even if he doesn't show up, we still lose a 10-second engagement window. And if he gets you bot once, then you're dead. You're pretty much all in, all click R and GG. But I don't know. It's just a very strong champion, but very binary. If you walk into one stun, you get blown up unless you have Zhonya's, but then you can still die. It's high risk, high reward, and it's typical Bjergsen.
Typical Bjergsen. Now, of course, this is, of course, a rehearsal as well for next week, as you'll be going up against the Copenhagen Wolves again. It will be a best of 3 then. Do you think that will play in your favor or not?
Yeah, this match, definitely whoever won this had the most fate going into the best of 3 next week. Also, we get the blue side as far as I know, so or the side where we can choose which side. So that will put us in an advantage, and we've won the mental warfare, so we can do it now.
Thank you very much, Crefo. Now, we're going to take a short break in a second. Don't forget to answer our Twitter question, of course. What team do you think has the biggest chance of an upset win in the playoffs, and why? You can tweet your answer at LOL Esports, #LCS. Okay, Fnatic has made it clear that as the Season 1 champions, they want first place in our standings. To do that, Xpeke will have to fend off his Spanish compadre Exter in the mid lane. Giants versus Fnatic, up next.